Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
Two Doomed Men podcast, the greatest, ready? The greatest podcast in the history of the country, perhaps even the world by far. I don't think anyone comes close.
What's up, everybody? I kind of feel bad saying what's up, Doom Nation, because we actually are. But anyway, what's up, Doom Nation? Welcome back. You're listening to the Two Doom Men podcast. We are actually doomed this time. As always, you are listening to Scagz and yours truly, the Captain, and we have another episode for you this week. Nothing short of an insane week since the last time we saw you all. Scagz, what's on the docket today, buddy?
One topic and one topic only, obviously, and that is the potential for war with Iran. Notice
Making
I
us
put
a doomed nation.
Fair enough. I agree, Captain. But notice I put a question mark. That was deliberate, right? Because I think it's still somewhat of an open-ended question. My goodness, man, like the fog, the propaganda blitz the past week, the conflicting statements, we're going to work it out, we're not going to work it out, get out of Tehran. There's so much beyond it. We're going to try and sift through all of it and give our takes on the whole thing. But before we do, shameless plugs. Doesn't matter that the world's going to end. If it doesn't, we'll be doing all these things on the road to episode 300, as I want to call it.
We got a lot of fun stuff.
So next week, Captain and I and the boys doing our yearly trip to Montauk and Long Island. And we're going to be doing an episode while we're out there on the beach, playing a little can jam. That will not be live. That will be pre-recorded just because it's just too crazy to do live on the beach there with all the guys. We'll also be doing a new Cigar Time review for the first time, we'll be reviewing a Patriot cigar, the brand new Sidewinder Maduro. We'll be reviewing that. I thought it was fitting, being Alan is from Long Island and we'll be in Long Island. I thought it was fitting to do a Patriot cigar review while we were out there. Later on in July, we will be doing a companion watch party stream of Saturday night's main event on July 12th. That will be live. That is WWE. That will be Goldberg will be fighting Gunther in that one. So the Goldberg is coming back for a match in that one. A little bit
of the Austrians versus the Jews.
Yeah, me and the Captain were kind of laughing about that. You can never get away from that whole topic. So that will be going on there. And then, of course, the episode 300 extravaganza will actually be the week after that on Saturday, July 19th. So busy, back-to-back weeks, busy for the boys. We're expecting them to do some podcast work. I'm excited for it.
And if you guys thought you've seen me give zero fucks before, wait till you catch me on the beach in Montauk.
There you go. Okay, so we come to it at last. The great battle of our time. The seventh war. They are like Thanos collecting the Infinity Stones. The neocons got all 6 that they wanted previously.
Nations.
We are finally here. We're at the precipice of number 7. Captain, you said you were pretty confident that it was going to happen this time around. How you feeling now? A couple days into that, into this.
This is a disheartening nightmare. Genuine nightmare. I've, the term isolationist is popping up a lot, and that's what I am. I literally, let's just do mass deportations. I don't care what it does to the economy. Let's pull our boys out everywhere around the world. Don't care what it does to the global economy. Let's no more foreign aid. Let's just bring everything back here and let the chips fall where they land and just rebuild from within, and then we could go back out again.
The fortress of freedom. Captain's going back to the founding fathers' roots.
Yeah,
I'm down to change, it'll be different, not a bad idea, maybe. Yeah, I wouldn't even consider myself, I consider myself anti-war, but I wouldn't consider myself an isolationist.
Well, yes,
I do tend to agree there are things that sometimes you need to do, right? But that's not what's going on here.
I mean, if it wasn't a false flag and Iran actually bombed New York or LA or something like that, and it was real,
baby. Fuck you.
Then let's. I don't care. Turn it into a parking lot. Civilians don't matter to me. All gone.
That's one of the reasons why I'm so personally upset by the way that Mohammed Jalani has been treated in Syria. The guy was a major part of Al-Qaeda. Say what you want. Al-Qaeda was involved in an actual attack on us in our own city, where we're from, where I'm from, New York City. And the fact that they've whitewashed that and rehabilitated the guy, changed his name, dressed him in a 3-piece suit now and put him in charge of Syria is disgusting to me. So yes, I agree with you there. So we're going to get into this whole thing, but I was telling Captain before we started, wanted to play a clip of Marco Rubio talking about kind of what is on the mind or the stated goal of the Trump administration, which is that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Wanted to play this clip,
which is for something I wanted to say, which is so infuriating. Because from what I understand now, obviously I'm not in Iran and I don't know what's going on, and I'm just a simple rube sitting here on YouTube with a buddy talking to the several people that are watching. Tulsi Gabbard just released the threat level statement for 2025 or whatever.
In March.
And no big threat coming from Iran. For years, they have worked with with several different administrations to show, look, they enriched the uranium more than they should, which, okay, they have the capabilities for a deterrent. But all roads and information, and you go to Scott Horton's website, what's it, antiwar.com or antiwar.com. And he has, all the information right there that Iran's just been no, we're not building nukes. We have uranium. This is what we're doing with it. It's a deterrent, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And just everybody's fuck that. I don't care. They got nukes. And then that ominous tweet oh, something's going to happen tonight that we're going to remember for centuries. Then I'm oh, maybe they do have a nuke. I don't know.
I read. Even I thought, I'm shit. Maybe they do. I don't know. Right? What was that about? But that was nothing. I mean, Trump also had an ominous tweet where he told everybody to get out of Tehran.
Yeah. What are we going to do? Drop
what are we? Yeah.
What's the smaller nukes? The precision nukes or something like that?
Tactical nuke or the Moab, right? It's not a nuke, the Moab, but that non-nuclear gigantic bomb we have. Who knows, man? But we'll keep deciphering all this. But again, I wanted to start with this. So I wanted to start with giving Scagz' solution to Marco Rubio's problem here, at least. So let's start off again with his gripe that he's laying out here earlier today, I believe it was, and then we'll get into it.
When you say 60, that's misleading when people hear that number because they think 60% enrichment and 90% is what you need for a weapon. Actually, 90% of the work it takes to get to weapons-grade enrichment is getting to 60. Once you're at 60, you're 90% of the way there. You are, in essence, a threshold nuclear weapons state, which is what Iran basically has become. They are at the threshold of a nuclear weapon. If they decided to do so, They can do so very quickly. If they stockpile enough of that 60% enriched, they can very quickly turn it into 90 and weaponize it. That's the danger we face right now. That's the urgency here. That's why Israel feels urgency about it, and that's why we feel urgency about it, but not just us. Throughout the Gulf region, no country in the region wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon. And you also talk about not just the weapon, they have long-range missiles that they can deliver those weapons to. This is a very grave risk. And they are enriching at that level, and they're openly doing it, by the way. In fact, their Congress, their legislative branch, actually passed a law requiring them to enrich at a certain level because JCPOA, the Obama deal with Iran, was canceled. So this is a critical moment. The president has made it a priority. And now.
All right. So, I mean, there's even a little bit of I feel like something I was wrong on back in the day is the Obama deal. I'm actually starting to kind of appreciate the Obama deal. I mean, he even admits there that they were kind of following the Obama deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then because Trump left it, that they passed a law saying, okay, now he left the deal, so fuck it. We're going to go in. And
I think that was the deal, that if we ever went back on that deal, they could just run free with it or something.
Yeah. Okay. So regarding the enrichment, like, I don't know if I think you did, Cap, watch the Oppenheimer movie, right? So
no,
we did. Okay. So
I didn't give up that 3 hours of my life yet.
Fair enough. Maybe you should have, right? So if you watch it, it's obviously about the story of the Manhattan Project and Oppenheimer making the first atomic bomb. And as they progress through the movie, they kind of show like the meat and potatoes of how it's done. And part of the process was like they had to refine, in a sense, they had the ingredients to make a bomb, and they had to like cook them for a long time, and long enough until they had enough material to make a bomb. And then they finally made the bomb, tested it, detonated, etc. Iran knows how to do this. They have known for 2 decades now, right? Mm-hmm. At any point in those 2 decades, they could have just made a bomb, but they have not. They have been in this status of what Scott Horton and even what Marco Rubio here, refers to kind of as like they've retained like a latent nuclear deterrent, in a sense, meaning we could make a bomb at any point in time. We know how to do it. We just need to cook the ingredients to make it, but they haven't actually done it. Reason being, keeping that threat is, in a sense, an insurance policy for that regime. Where, like, if you're going to try and do regime change on us and overthrow the mullahs and kill us and whatever, then we're going to cook the ingredients, we're going to make the bomb, and we're going to use the bomb to defend itself. Same way that Kim Jong-un has remained in power this entire time, right? He's got the nuke, makes it very difficult to regime change and get him out of position.
Well,
you just watch one.
I was listening to, I believe it was Dave Smith, and he had Scott Horton on. It was just yesterday's episode, and they were talking about nations that have nukes don't get messed with.
All right.
If you pick the last several nations that we went to war with, none of them had nukes. Anytime we do a regime change, there's no nukes in that country.
We pick on weaker countries.
So it's pretty interesting to see that, like, they have this ability, but like we want this regime change so badly. Not we, but the Warhawks and the neocons want this regime change so badly that they're just trying to prevent this nuke from being built.
Okay, so again, my proposal, and maybe this is Trump's idea, if your goal is to prevent a country from getting a nuke. Now, I also don't even want Iran, I've said before, to have a nuke. I don't like the idea of nuclear proliferation. They're dangerous. I think humanity should move towards getting rid of nukes, not making more. If you want to prevent them from getting a nuclear weapon, the best way to do that is by negotiating and making a deal. Give them something they want, and they will give you something we want. The thing that we want is them to guarantee they will never make a nuclear weapon or use a nuclear weapon. The thing that they want is to remain in power in Tehran and have their rule solidified without the threat of regime change or attacks by Israel or the United States in the future. There is a path for a win-win. Both sides could get what they want out of that. That is the path they should be pursuing. That is a path that Scagz would be pursuing if he were president right now. I don't see how fulfilling the reason why they would want to make a nuke is a good strategy in terms of making them not have a nuke. So in essence, the reason why they haven't made the nuke is because we haven't attacked them. If we do go and attack them, or Israel's now attacked them, this could start the clock for them trying to make the nuke to them.
They could actually be a week away now
from regime change war. So if your goal is for them to not actually have a nuke, you should be all full court press on negotiations and talks, right? I am very disappointed so far. I was super black-pilled on Monday about what was going on and just fucking frankly disgusted. 2 days have passed, and I'm feeling a little bit better now, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure exactly what's going on. It seems like I thought the war was definitely going to start on like Monday night. Tuesday, we're now Wednesday, nothing's happened. I will caution and just say that it does seem like the first round of talks that were going on, it was kind of rumored or leaked that the talks were a distraction in order to launch this sneak attack on Iran that Israel launched, that the Iranians got caught with their pants down because they were like, oh, well, no, we're negotiating, and Trump is negotiating in good faith. And then all of a sudden, their facilities all get fucking blown up and their military leaders all get killed. So that's got to be in the back of their mind here, right? Like even me, like, I don't know. There's so many different stories coming out. Maybe that's part of the plan to keep them off balance. I don't know what the fuck to believe at this point.
It's definitely the fog of war to
we're possibly a ruse. What if the second talks here are possibly a ruse again? And then they bomb them again, or they lure the Ayatollah out of hiding and they fucking drone strike him or some shit.
Very strong possibility. I said the guy, remember we sent who sent the image of the plane heading towards leaving Iran to go.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that. Like
I said, yeah, the guy's probably going to show up with a bomb strapped to his chest for the talks. You know, where did I want to go with this? Just keep going. I've lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I hope that.
Sorry.
I'm trying not to remain too. Try not to remain too black-pilled. I guess an optimistic thing here is that it hasn't started yet.
Yeah.
Trump has signaled all sides of this, like he usually does. I have a tweet maybe I could read real quick by JD Vance. I like this about JD Vance. I'm suspect. I like him, but at the same time, I'm suspect. He does these long, thought-out, nuanced tweets. They're the opposite of what Donald Trump does. It's actually very interesting. He's like the shade. Trump does like the zero contact shit posting where you're like, what the fuck? And then JD Vance does like walls of text with context in them. So I'll read this real quick. It's not that long. He says, look, I'm seeing this from the inside, and I'm admittedly biased towards our president and my friend. There's a lot of crazy stuff on social media, so I wanted to address some things directly on the Iran issue. First, POTUS has been amazingly consistent over 10 years that Iran cannot have a nuke. Over the last few months, he encouraged his foreign policy team to reach a deal with the Iranians to accomplish this goal. The president has made clear that Iran cannot have uranium enrichment, and he said repeatedly that this would happen one of two ways, the easy way or the other way. Second, I have seen a lot of confusion over the issue of civilian nuclear power and uranium enrichment. These are distinct issues. Iran could have civilian nuclear power without enrichment, but Iran rejected that. Meanwhile, they've enriched uranium far above the level necessary for any civilian purpose. They've been found in violation of their non-proliferation obligations by the IAEA, which is hardly a right-wing organization. Now, that is true, but I think he does kind of admit here that the IAEA did also say, like, they're just maintaining the nuclear deterrent policy that they've had at the same time, from what I've read. It's one thing to want civilian nuclear energy. It's another thing to demand sophisticated enrichment capacity. It's still another thing to cling to enrichment while simultaneously violating the basic non-proliferation obligations and enriching right to the point of weapons-grade uranium. I have yet to see a single good argument for why Iran needed to enrich uranium well above the threshold for civilian use. I've yet to see a single good argument for why Iran was justified in violating its non-proliferation obligations. I've yet to see a good pushback against the IAEA's findings. Meanwhile, the president has shown remarkable restraint in keeping our military's focus on protecting our troops and protecting our citizens. He may decide he needs to take further action to end Iranian enrichment. That decision ultimately belongs to the president. And of course, people are right to be worried about foreign entanglement over the last 25 years of idiotic foreign policy. Thank you. But I believe the president has earned some trust on this issue. And having been this up close and personal, I can assure you that he is only interested in using the American military to accomplish American people's goals. Whatever he does, that is his focus. Okay, so at the time, this was back on Monday, I still kind of feel this way, although my opinions may be slightly starting to turn the more days that click on here without anything actually happening. And I was like, dude, it feels like you guys are incrementally building up the base to accept and support this war.
Yeah,
it does seem that way. MAGA frogs in the boiling pot.
You're not wrong because I mean, think of any war that we get into. There needs to be the propaganda campaign to get the country on its side, or we got to do some type of false flag to get hit, and then the country, the problem is, we're so ripe for a false flag here to get what we want, because if we just need one thing to go boom and say Iran did it, and then you're going to have a large portion of the population gun ho for war, and then it's to the races we go. But I think the one thing that I do, it's my last real saving grace for Trump. I'm not, like I said to you and Garrett in the group chat, I think we're going to be happy with some stuff he does and just hate other things he does. I think it's going to be a very back and forth relationship. I mean, I do got the cope all ready to go, or the Q stuff to go. And I mean, like we said a million times, I hope we eat crow. I hope we're wrong. I hope we sit here and scream and bash Trump for not doing what we want him to do. And then next week when we get on here, we're like, oh, we're not going to war. It's over. That would be great. That's the greatest situation. But I think if there is going to be a war with Trump at the helm, it's not going to be your typical war that we've seen. You know what I mean? I don't think there's going to be the big propaganda campaign. It's going to be very weird to see all of a sudden, like, the media is on his side now. You know what I mean? Like, all the people who have been persecuting him for 10 years, like, oh man, he's finally making sense now. I think the fog of war that we're in is part of Trump's plan, where just nobody knows what's going on. I think he's setting his own traps to see who's leaking information. You know what I mean? Like, he only tells one person that, like, oh, we're using blue bombs on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, CNN's like, the blue bombs are going off. And he's like, ha, you're the leak, motherfucker. Yeah.
So I hate the idea that, I hate that in general. I will admit, maybe that is the case, right? Maybe it's an op.
Right. I don't think it's going to be like what we're used to.
I hate this idea that we cannot speak plainly, right?
Oh, yeah, no.
There's this idea that, like, throughout everything, the influencers, Trump, the administration.
Nobody can.
No. What they're saying is not what they actually mean, right? Like, they can't speak plainly because there's like a 4D chess operation happening in the background, and everything he's doing that you don't like, he's really doing the things you do like, and he's only saying he's doing the things you don't like so he can actually do the things you want.
Well, that's not the cope. I think that's more of what I'm talking about. I think we're going to see a different strategy, or a different wartime strategy come out.
Like what?
Just this fog of war that we're seeing. I'm not even talking about like playing 4D chess. I think he's just trying to keep his cards close to his chest because he can't really trust a lot of these people. All of a sudden, everybody who hates him is now on his side. I mean, it's got to be a strange situation. You're literally playing with life or death here, because it could all go south real quick. And I think, he needs to do it for all sides. He can't trust DC. I'm sure he trusts Israel, but he can't trust them. Obviously, he doesn't trust Iran. So he's keeping everybody on his toes. I think it's more of a wartime strategy than anything else. And that Iran doesn't know what they're going to get hit with, to the point that they are like, all right, let's go back to the table here and talk.
I hope so. I hope you're right. And I hope my worst fears are wrong. There are a lot of things to worry about here. I got a bunch of shit to show. So, one of the now I will say that I do think that, like, going into war with Iran is the end of the coalition. It will split the MAGA base. You're already seeing everyone arguing and fighting over this, and I have been critical of it. And then there are the people who just cope and have an explanation for everything. I just want to stress to those people that like I remember what it was like during WMDs in Iraq when I was a kid, right? It's better where we're at now, and you should appreciate the fact that no matter what, even if you think you have the perfect ruler in charge, that a huge swath of the population is not going to believe it and like hold feet to the fire, especially when it comes to something as crazy as a full-scale war against a major enemy that might have nuclear weapons. This is not something that we have to like poo-poo over and just be quiet and toe the line like the Democrats do over this right now. This is a major human history event that should be fully fought over. It just should. I don't begrudge anyone on the other side of this for trying to make the counter argument. I don't. Right? I actually think it's good that we have out this fight at all times. And perhaps I saw this interesting tweet from Alan, our buddy Alan, Patriot Cigar guy, right-wing cigar king. He said, imagine thinking President Trump is sitting up at night waiting to see what grifting retards are posting on X so he can make policy decisions. Shut the fuck up. No one heard you. Okay, so I've seen Alan talk about this a lot lately, and a lot of the guys in the Trump. It's interesting, right? Like Alan's making the point that they're not listening to what people are saying on social media. But I've seen, and I made this point to Alan, I'm like, I've seen people on both sides of the issue make that point that he does listen. Right? And like, what do you think about that, Cap? Do you think that all the hell being raised is being paid attention to or listened to?
Yes.
Or not?
I fully do, because not so much in Trump's second term, and we've mainly been doing this show during the Biden administration. We did it at the tail end of Trump's. Every so often, you'll see an idea be floated out or leaked online, and people will just rip it to shreds. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't come to fruition. It doesn't go all the way. I truly believe that the government or the administration that is in charge at the time will float out policy ideas or let some idea get leaked to see the reaction. And then they're like, oh, we got to reword this, or we got to rebrand it, or we just got to pull off completely. I do think we have a voice in that manner. I think if there's something the president really has his heart set on doing, it'll get done. You know what I mean? Like, because I was talking to somebody today, and they were all worried about with potential war. And I was like, at the end of the day, you could hate Trump, you could go march in the No Kings protests and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, he's going to do what he wants to do, and we're going to sit through it. You could hate Trump all you want. We hated Biden, and we sat through all 4 years of it. Now, granted, no nukes were being dropped on us during the Biden administration.
Almost.
But that's what it's going to come down to. We're going to have to ride it out. It still hasn't fully unfolded, but I do think we do have some sort of a voice. I don't think it's going to change policy completely, but I think if something's unpopular enough, it will get the recognition.
I agree.
Just my final point. I think if this was closer to midterms, we'd be seeing a different situation. Because right now, Trump could start this war, and by the time midterms come around, memory hold, it could be over. You know what I mean? Like,
which is annoying in of itself, because this is the point I've been making about the budget and all the other things, right? It's like, now you have the mandate. Now you have like the time on your side. Now is when we should be making like some fundamental fixes to our own problems. Instead, we seem to be like now expending that good time that we have on fixing Israel's problems, which is just, Jesus, it's just the wrong thing to do. And I'm not saying it's not a problem. Like I said, I don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon either, but America first, remember? Okay, so I do think they listen to an extent, maybe around the margins. I think it's a mistake to think that government doesn't care about propaganda. This isn't exactly propaganda, right? But that is verifiably proven fact that governments deploy propaganda. They try to create the narratives, control what people think, right? So they can know what they can get away with, or they could try to get away with things, right? So to think that they're not paying attention to that, or they are definitely actively engaged in propaganda, right? And they are definitely taking a temperature to see what they can do, what they can get at all times. To think that they're not, I think, is a mistake.
It's a good comparison. When the South African president showed up to the White House, and Trump ambushed him. And then the media did the full court press on the new word, ambush, Project Mockingbird, ambush. And the entire internet was like, we've seen this. No. And within a day, it was over.
Sure. I think, Cap, also, that's a great example. Kudos. I think the only reason why Trump even knew about that is because of people making that point on the internet. Yeah. It's not like that was like a top topic of the past couple of years, like white genocide in South Africa. No. Personally, I'm not convinced it's actually to that level yet, right? But I've seen that concept floated out and people talking about that guy Malema and all this stuff in South Africa. I know a couple South African guys, right? But that whole idea, that whole concept got brought to the forefront on Twitter, on social media. I'm sorry, it just did. And you're right. Trump literally did ambush the president of South Africa and brought up, turn down the lights and all that stuff. So, right, you know, like he does, or someone's paying attention. I mean, right after the election was over, you had Dave Smith go on Joe Rogan's podcast and say, look, man, like the most important thing right now after Trump won the election is to make sure that like the neocons, they do not get people in the cabinet. And like that clip started going viral, and Donald Trump Jr. retweeted that clip on Twitter and said, like, message heard loud and clear. We're working on it. So like they do to some extent or another, which goes back to my point that it's good when people disagree and make a point that we don't want to be in this war. We don't want another war. If everybody just stayed quiet and we can't question Trump, whatever he's doing, I don't even know, whatever it is, he's just got the right thing. We're not going to say a word about it. They're going to just go to war, right? Like that's just what's going to happen. That's what governments always fucking do. I'm sorry. I'm not putting my trust in the golden calf with the golden hair. I'm just not, right? So it's a net positive that people are fighting, in my opinion, about this thing. It's fucking crazy. Maybe people don't appreciate it. I've seen the term floated out like panicins, like we're panicins for it. Do you appreciate how crazy war is? Maybe, I don't know. I've never been to war, but I know how crazy it is. I don't want our soldiers to go be put in that situation for another country and all this stuff. Like that is a ultimate last resort. And if it means a bunch of us spurging out on the internet, might possibly prevent that.
That's all we got.
Or that's a good thing. Yeah.
This is probably a good time to bring up this point. I had this loaded for later that I wanted to talk about. You were talking about how like we won't just fall in line and keep quiet and let him do whatever he wants, because we will end up in a war. And I think that's, the special thing about whatever side of MAGA you're now on, whether you're pro-war or anti-war, is that there is a group of us that are fully prepared to hold Trump accountable, me and you being included. We have stated from the election and beyond that we will hold him accountable. And I see that one of the most nauseating things I see on X is all these grifting liberals like, we told you Trump was bad. Now look, MAGA, you guys should join us. Like, no. Look, just because you guys are such cucks for your fucking party that you would just listen to whoever your supreme leader is at the moment. If Joe Biden or Kamala Harris was in office and they were pro-war with Iran, you would be pro-war with Iran.
Yeah.
We over here have a set of balls, and we voted Trump into office to not get us into wars.
Yeah, no new wars. That was the line. Yeah.
And now, there is the boomers who are fully in favor.
Oh, they're the driving force behind this whole thing.
Absolutely. Who are fully in favor of this. And they're part of the MAGA movement that are pro-war. But the rest of us, we're not happy. We did not vote for this, and we're going to talk about it. And yes, we're going to bash Trump. That doesn't make Kamala the better candidate. Trump is, even if Trump ran on, we are going to go march into Iran, and then ran the rest of the campaign that he had, I still would have voted for Trump over Kamala. All right. You know what I'm saying? Like, but, they're just not used to having a candidate that, made promises and fulfilled those promises. He doesn't need the media to create word soup and propaganda to make it seem like the promises were kept. This is what accountability looks like, and it is foreign to a lot of grifters across X. They have no idea what holding someone accountable actually is, because to them it's just Team Red versus Team Blue.
Yeah. Or like it's
Me
all
and
gonna
you
work
were
out.
trying to
It's
save the
both.
world.
Look, I'm sorry. It's to certain great point about the Democrats. I'll be honest with you, they're kind of just completely dismissed at this point. I saw Chris Murphy trying to make a point similar to what I was making before about the Obama deal. Like, dude, I almost kind of agree with you, but like, just be quiet now. Like you don't have any room to say anything. Just go away. Right? Like
it's really funny. They're not.
If you actually
so low on the
Chris
total
Murphy, like if you really do care about avoiding war with Iran, you should just be quiet, right? Because like if you say anything that actually slightly resembles making sense, people are now going to be so invertedly deranged because you Democrats are retarded that they're going to think that that's the wrong thing, even if you are saying the right thing. So just be quiet. Like if you actually want to avoid nuclear war, just go away. Let us on the right hash this out. And we're going to get a better result because we need to make sure that first we avoid nuclear war or some insane, another 20-year quagmire.
20-year war.
Something like that. Yes. Obviously what we don't want to get into. Man, there's so many directions I could take this in, so many things to talk about. I want to get to Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz at some point as well.
I'm going to need another beer before that one.
Yeah. At one point, man, I mean, I've been pretty surprised at how hard Iran has punched back at Israel. I've shared a couple of the tweets. I don't
blame them.
They are fucking getting through the Iron Dome and smacking Tel Aviv and Israeli military buildings, and some civilian buildings as well have been hit pretty fucking hard. And I find that a bit ironic if you're the Israeli government and your goal is to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon that they would then use on you to destroy you, that in the run-up to that, you end up getting destroyed. Like, it reminds me of Patrick and SpongeBob, like, hey, we saved Israel, as the whole place is in fucking ruins. What's the difference? What type of weapon destroys you at the end of the day? If you get destroyed, I don't give a shit if I got shot or stabbed. It's still bad to get killed at the end of the day. Focus on negotiating a peace instead of shooting to it.
Do you think Iran is now in over their head? Somebody was saying like they hit Israel hard. They hit it with a barrage. They really came back at Israel. How much ammunition do they have, though? They're not America. They're not America. They're not Russia, and they're not China.
I don't know. How am I supposed to answer that question? I don't know, Cap. But I think they proved they aren't Hezbollah, right? Like, Hezbollah got fucking erased in like a week without being able to do anything. Iran's gotten hit hard, but they've hit hard back. They've literally struck IDF headquarters. They blew up part of the Mossad's building. That's not nothing, right? They can fight back. And that's another reason to just negotiate. We don't need to do this, right? Like, we don't, no innocent Israeli citizen needs to get hurt. Go ahead. Sorry. No, I'm just saying,
escalation.
No innocent person needs to get hurt. They just don't, right? We could just negotiate and say, give you what you want, which is security for your regime. You give us what we want, which is no nuclear weapon. The fact that we can't do that, or there are parties that seem to not want that, lead me to believe that certain parties within the Israeli coalition want the regime change. They do not want what Trump is saying he wants, which is the no nukes. They want the regime change.
Stop being anti-Semitic, Scagz.
To be honest with you, I mean, some of them are just completely outright saying that. It's not even me like insinuating it. They just are. You could go anywhere and see Netanyahu and his fucking gang of insane people that are in charge over there saying shit like that. Go ahead. What was your point? Real quick, Luch says, we want wrestling and booze reviews. They're coming, buddy.
They're coming.
He wants a Can Jam live stream. That is coming. Well, not live stream, but
what were we? Oh, God. What was my point now?
So much. I know. So much, dude.
I know. The escalation in itself is almost like propaganda because you have Israel with clearly an ulterior motive, right? You have Trump, who is a hothead. You have Iran, who's not going to take this. So as long as you unleash Israel hits them, Iran hits back, forth, back. It's just escalation to the point we just surpassed talking, and it's nothing but bullets and escalation now. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost as that we allow, as long as we allow Israel to be off the leash, they're just gonna hit back because they're not. Neither nation.
They're aggressive. No matter what you want to say about them, they are aggressive. They're literally
neither nation is going to to bend the knee and be the last one to take it on the chin. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to get hit last in this fight.
Yeah. Can I make a point real quick? Their motto is rise and strike first. It's really actually rise and kill first, but they're not going to say that at this point in time. That's the model that they've been tweeting out, like rise and strike.
Was it Cobra Kai?
Something like that. I don't know.
Strike fast, no mercy.
It's actually in my there's a book in my Amazon cart called Rise and Kill First, and it's about kind of Mossad and like their whole mentality of like, no, like we're gonna rise and strike first, no matter what. So yes, they are aggressive, but right, if you're dealing with a mentality that is just like Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts back in the 2000s, all offense, all the time. We're going to score 90 points and play zero defense. Yeah, things could get out of hand real quick. You could get into a shootout where it's like 70-70 or something
both
like
nations are like that.
Right, yeah. Okay. Do we want to go to Tucker Carlson next? You ready?
Yeah.
Fun.
This was insane.
Let's start real quick.
Let's
set it up.
Literally insane.
Let's set it up with a Truth Social the other day by Trump, where he took a shot at Tucker Carlson. Bit shocking. Somebody please explain to Kooky Tucker Carlson that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Let's just start with that real quick.
Tucker disagrees with that. It just doesn't. We don't need to get involved in a foreign war and support Israel to the destruction of the planet for Iran to not have one.
Since then, Trump has apparently said that him and Tucker spoke, and Tucker apologized for like daring to criticize him at all. I'm sorry. Thank God for Tucker Carlson, man. He is a very popular, influential figure on the right who is just maintaining his principles and immense pressure from his own in-group not to do so. That's avoid war. That is fucking. Yeah. He's. I'm sorry. People are, which we'll get into in a little bit. People are accusing him of being a Tucker Carlson, right? He's taking money from Qatar. Because he's just. It's gross.
Dude, the thing that is the most disheartening part of all this. Forget the nuclear annihilation. We'll be out of here in a flash if there's nuclear annihilation. Is watching the MAGA movement turn on itself. For anybody who holds on to their own principles and doesn't just shift on a dime when Trump shifts on a dime. It is so fucking disheartening. It kills me to no point.
Me too. I agree. That's
just
what makes all me feel the most black-pilled.
All
the things we want. That you don't understand. You need to support the things happening that you don't want, because that means you're going to get the things that you do want later. I don't want to fucking hear that.
Yeah.
Just tell me, like, just love. If that's what you're actually doing, don't even tell me anything. Be like, look, trust me. We just got a plan, right? We're not going to give you any other, like, we've got a plan. Trust the plan. I'd rather you just say, trust the plan, than try to convince me that I have to support things that go against my own.
And now that Tucker is evil and we gotta hate him.
Yeah.
No, this is how the left treats anybody. It kills me to my core.
Me too. Okay, so I almost watched the whole thing. I think you almost watched the whole thing, but you tapped
out. An hour and like 29 minutes, and I couldn't do another second.
Yeah. Very frustrating, but very fun at the same time. So, in the midst of this whole insanity, Tucker Carlson goes and has on Senator Ted Cruz, GOP stalwart,
rapes him.
Everyone kind of knows who he is, and they get right into it. This is what they're talking about. This is major. This is what journalism and interviews with politicians should be. Fucking combative, right?
Yeah.
You should be asking hard questions, holding people's feet to the fire. And when they give you answers that make no sense, you should be pushing back or, in this case, laughing at them, which is what we're going to do here. And then I want to make a point. So I posted this the other day. It got tremendous response on our own TikTok page, over 100,000 views, and all over social media as well. This is Tucker and Ted going back and forth about Iran.
How many people live in Iran, by the way? I don't know the population. At all? No, I don't know the population. You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple? How many people live in Iran? 92 million. Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's,
because,
it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why
because
is that
if
relevant?
you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even. You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who claims
anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the one who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that...
We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people
that's how entangled, how deep Israel's dick is up his ass that they are not, that they are a we. Okay, they are a one unit together. I wish we had the clip of how Cruz tried to explain that Iran is a weak nation and can't figure out how to get a good hitman in America to kill Trump, but is a strong enough nation to make nuclear weapons to topple Israel. That one, that back and forth right there, I have lost all respect for.
Yeah, I mean, in this format, he is exposed as a liar.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're going to go onto a show and do 2+ hours or whatever it is against someone who's actually honest and going to do the right thing and hold your feet to the fire and is like good at it, you're going to get fucking exposed. And that's what this was, right? Now the, like the cover, the cope, and the criticism that's been, thrown at Tucker Carlson from guys like, the king of the neocons here lately, Mark Levin, has been, wow, Chatsworth Carlson really scored. How many Iranians are in Iran? Wow, that was a profound question. What's their ethnic makeup? Wow, another brilliant question. You really nuked Ted Cruz. The ladies at the ludicrous left-wing media website were all excited. Their usual hysterical clickbait headlines. Keep at it. All right, so I responded to this, and this is the point I'm generally trying to make here, right? Like, you are cheerleading war against these people, yet you don't seemingly even know the most basic point in what a war could possibly entail, which is how many people live there. Quick story: when I was 9, right, my grandma had an almanac in her like bookcase. And I used to read the almanac all the time. And in the almanac, it said like the population of all the different countries in the world at the time. This is in like early 2000s or something like that. Actually, right around the time of 9/11 and all this stuff. Anyway, I remember reading it and being like, wow, this is so cool. Here's the population of the United States, 200 and something million. Here's a population of China, 1 billion. And little 9-year-old me used to think at the time, that's crazy. I hope we never have to get into a war with China because they have way more people than we do. And it probably wouldn't good. So 9-year-old fucking me understood the most basic concept of war, which is how many people do you got and how many people do we got? And if you're going to advocate for Israel going, forget about even America, Israel going to war with Iran. Israel only has 9 million people live in Israel. 90 million people live in Iran. Right. So on its face, like that needs to be taken into account before we actually go and do this. Right. I'm not saying that Israel maybe couldn't win. Maybe they have the right intelligence, the right technology, right? Like everybody watched the Battle of the Bastards, right? Jon Snow and the boys won
300,
Ramsay
Bolton, right? And 300 and all this stuff. It's possible. But Jesus Christ, like Jon Snow didn't go into there not knowing anything about what he was about to do or who he was about to fight, right? Oh, Steve Dincher. Okay, so Steve Dincher from the Connecticut Mises Caucus just commented. He goes, I'm pretty sure Tom Luongo is right on this one. Israel has already won, and it's probably a good thing. That's an interesting comment, Steve. I've been following Tom Luongo's pitch on this whole thing, and he's Tom Luongo. I don't know if you know who Tom Luongo is, Cap. He's like
No.
he's kind of like a libertarian guy who's. I can only explain the sales pitch he's making as like QAnon, but not for retards, right? So like he's making the libertarian QAnon argument of Trump's fighting the shadow war thing behind the scenes, and it's compelling as fuck. And I've been listening to Tom with an open mind and hearing what he has to say about what's going on here. I just hate that whole thing, like I said before. About that, like no one can speak plainly. It's all
shadows and shadow
thing. Yeah, I can't say. So anyway, yeah, I mean, like the neocons are making fun of Tucker Carlson. I saw them even sharing a tweet, a cartoon where it was Tucker interviewing Luke Skywalker, and he's like, "How many people live in the Death Star?" And it's just like, do you guys even know that? Like, I tweeted this before. I'm like, Star Wars fans have debated this. That like, I don't know if the rebels actually did know how many civilians were in the Death Star. They just killed a shit ton of civilians.
They just didn't care.
That was an act of terrorism, and that damn well sure would have mobilized more people in the Empire to consider the rebels terrorists and fight against them, right? If you want to even stick within the Star Wars nerd world. So, I mean, man, like, Jesus, you guys are advocating for a regime change and a war, and forget about even my broad point of how many people we got is how many people do they got. There is the point that, like, Israel does definitely not have enough people to launch a ground invasion.
They can't go one-on-one,
right? Maybe that's why they seem so hell-bent on getting us involved, because we do, right? We have the resources to do it.
Which I have.
Top of the fact,
Go ahead.
Okay, so last point in regards to all that, then it gets really complicated, right? There are different ethnic makeups in Iran. There are the Ayatollahs, right? There are different sects within Iran. If we break this thing, what happens after? There is no thought to what happens after. Do you have a failed state where a worse leader arises, or a worse group like ISIS or something like that takes charge? Is even more of a threat.
How many times has the CIA failed at this regime change shit?
Shit, man. Like, has that lesson not be learned? Sometimes the devil you know is better than the one you don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same could be made of Putin. Whatever it's worth, man, Putin has shown tremendous
I think I'd
rather deal with him than some insane right-wing, crazy fucking Russian nationalist type guy.
I don't even really see it as a regime change. I see it as toppling a nation, and then Israel marches in and just goes, "This is ours," which would be amazing, because Russia can't encroach a millimeter into Ukraine. We got to send billions up there to make sure this gray little spot on the map, is protected by against Russia. But if Israel wanted to expand, nobody'd have a problem with it.
Maybe. I've seen crazier shit said by some of the guys in the Israeli government, right? Their Greater Israel Project, all that stuff. I'm not saying every single Israeli person. Again, I'm talking about the government, right? And even
the bad actors.
Specifically the Likud and Netanyahu's group within the government. It's not even the entire Israeli government. There's dissension amongst the ranks. It's not anti-Semitism or whatever.
But I got to say, this Tucker Cruise episode was I would have liked an episode of just a camera following Ted Cruz after the interview, and he's just getting in his car and he's just like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Just completely destroyed.
Something else, man. I mean, towards the beginning, I don't know if you caught it, Cap. He tries to appeal to friendship. Like, I've known you a long time.
Yeah. Well, it's fine. I mean,
I don't know, dude. No, I'm like, we're here. No. We are here to talk about a possible major war the United States is about to be in.
Mm-hmm.
There is no, hey, well, I'm your friend, so kind of go easy on me. And me. Trust me, bro. He was insinuating, trust me, bro. That's what he was insinuating. You're my friend, trust me, bro.
The problem really was that anybody who listens to this, you could just tell how inauthentic Cruz was and how hard he is on Israel's dick. For him to sit there and go, "I'm America first," and then listen to this podcast, you cannot be America first and that pro-Israel. And I'm not saying being pro-Israel is a bad thing. And I understand, the argument against isolationists. There's no America if there's no world. We can't just let the rest of the world run rampant, as much as I'd rather just do that. But I mean, he literally admits that he's like, when I got into Congress, I was going to run on the basis of being the biggest pro-Israel ally ever.
His primary concern of running for Senate. That's what he literally said.
Move to Israel and run for Congress in there then.
The boomers, man. Look, again, it's not even saying that, like, right, like you can have the position that you like Israel, right, or you don't want Israel to be. We're not saying I want Israel to be wiped off the face of the earth. It's not what we're saying here at all. But I mean, there are literal people in charge of government that are quoting like biblical fucking scripture, and
somehow God recognized
religious
the state of
doctrine,
Israel,
and they're creating, or they're at least pushing actual real world government policy, like in the direction that they think end times that Jesus is going to come back. And all this crazy shit. Okay, so
and the fact that the IPAC, right? APAC, it's called APAC.
Yeah.
The fact that he still defended APAC. No, this is an American organization, and there's no foreign government interference. The whole thing
Laughable.
is a foreign government interference.
Yeah, laughable on its face. While at the same time, people are accusing Tucker Carlson of doing that exact same thing with Qatar, where it's like. Dude, it's so fucking ironic.
Well, don't you know, we just pick and choose whatever nation.
But I'm just saying, like, it's such projection. It's like exactly what they're doing is now what they're accusing Tucker Carlson of doing, which is a tactic of the left the last couple of years, right? Like whatever it is we're doing, accuse the other side of doing it. So it's fucking wild to see. Okay, one more clip. This was too good all around. There was a lot. If you when this first clip got posted, the first one got posted by Tucker the other day, people were like, he cherry picked one aspect of the whole interview and posted that to make Ted Cruz look bad. No, Ted Cruz looked even worse in other sections of the interview. Right? So no, that's not the case. I'm choosing this couple of minutes here to play. I remember the exact time I wrote down timestamp. It's one of those moments where you get an odd, maybe not odd, but like an inadvertent admission of the truth. And I thought it noteworthy to show everybody and to make my point after.
So what is it costing to support the bombing campaign to protect Israel right now from Iran?
So I don't know right now, but I'll tell you this. Let's go back to the touchstone on foreign policy, American interest. Our support, our military support for Israel is massively in America's national security interest, and it benefits us enormously.
Well, before we can make independent judgments about whether or not that's true, and I'm certainly open to it, I think we need to know what it costs. So what's the annual cost of defending Israel? Do you know?
$3 billion a year.
No, that's the aid. But I mean, the cost of the weapons, for example, the cost of U.S. personnel there, the cost of moving ships to the region, which we're doing right now, the cost of moving tankers to the region, all of that. Do we know what the cost is?
So look, the last week, I don't know. And there's some lag when the administration, under the Constitution, the commander-in-chief has control of the armed forces. And so President Trump has made some decisions that we'll know the cost over time, but I don't know the last week. I don't have visibility on that. The annual cost is $3 billion. It's a 10-year memorandum of understanding, and that's the principal driver of the cost. But let me make a point. We get massive benefits from Israel. Israel shares the Mossad is one of the best intelligence sources on the planet. The enemies of Israel, the people who hate Israel, they all hate us. It's almost a perfect overlap. And so if we tried to recreate, if we're just trying to defend America,
the enemies of Israel are almost a perfect overlap with us.
I wonder
why, right? I wonder why. Is it because just people in the Middle East region, it just happen to hate Jews and also happen to hate white guys from North America who like barbecue and football? Or is it because possibly our foreign policy is intertwined in Israel's interest, and every policy it's like Ron Paul said back in the day, we're over there. Right. And why are we over there? It's because a lot of these wars have been fought on behalf of Israel, lobbied by Israel. Osama bin Laden's letter of war, declaration of war against the United States, it was referenced in there. And the moment people started reading it on TikTok, right, the wine moms who started reading it, they removed it from TikTok. Like, it was up on the internet for fucking 20-something years until people started reading it. Does that mean Osama bin Laden's a good guy? No, it doesn't, right? When an enemy tells you why he hates you, and then you actually read it and you're like, oh, there's some information here that I wasn't told before. Maybe I ought to rethink our strategy and how we deal with these people, right? So yeah, there's an admission there, right? They don't hate us because we're free or because
They hate us because they ain't us.
They hate us because we're involved with the Israeli aggressive policy in the region and the Palestinians and overthrowing Saddam and all this stuff, right? That is why. So Ted Cruz accidentally admitted the truth there. Do you have any other thoughts, Cap? I got one more tweet, then tweets of the week.
No, just send them out. This was a ridiculous interview, man. It was a telling interview, but ridiculous.
Maybe it should have been a tweet of the week, but it's not. I got other tweets of the week. Things are so fucking out of control that Nikki Haley, the queen warmonger herself, tweeted earlier today, and she said, the U.S. should not engage in regime change in Iran. Our focus should be only on our national security. The Iranian regime has threatened the U.S. with nuclear production for years. We should support Israel in eliminating the Natanz and Fordo sites to prevent the threat of an atomic bomb used against us. The Iranian people should decide who they want to be their leader. That's their decision, not ours. Stay focused. Wow. Not perfect. She's not saying we shouldn't do anything. She is saying we should bomb Iran, but she is saying we shouldn't engage in regime change.
What a weird time.
Nikki Haley, the voice of reason in 2025, possible Iran war.
What a weird time.
Yeah. What a time to be alive. Okay, I got a couple tweets. You got nothing, right, Cap?
I might have one.
No, you got nothing.
I think it might be
right. I might have accidentally deleted it. Maybe.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
All right. Well, that's it. Okay, so I got 4. I left 4 because I didn't see you have any. I accidentally did delete. Okay, so Luigi Wrestling quote tweets a tweet in Spanish, which, you know, the tweet in Spanish basically says the Iran state television says this is going to be a night for everyone to remember. So Luigi Wrestling puts Chris Benoit is back.
That'd be interesting. There's a conspiracy that he's still alive.
I'm sure there is, man. I'm sure there is. Okay, my next one is from Michael Tracy, pretty good reporter. He says, it's not regime change. It's just the president demanding unconditional surrender of the regime while he decapitates their top officials, seizes control of their airspace, orders mass evacuations from their capital, and threatens to kill their supreme leader at any moment.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's exactly what Trump has done so far, right?
Well, hey, remember we told Japan we want unconditional surrender, and then we teleported a son to them.
Yeah. And it's interesting, right, how everything is World War II. I saw the Mike Huckabee, our ambassador to Israel, compared Trump to Truman and, insinuated that, made that insinuation in a sense right there.
Right.
Like everything's always World War II. Like I said, that's why it was valuable.
Well, that's why
to have that conversation a couple months ago.
Hold on, put this on full screen. This was a point I wanted to make. Earlier in the week when Israel was like, they asked America to get involved in this war. Very strange, because the last time I checked and heard, and I haven't read recently, Germany has given the most money to Israel, not America. Germany's given the most money to Israel. Why aren't you asking your top donor to go to war with you? Number one,
I think they are.
I would certainly hope so, because one, it's the least Germany could do for Israel after everything they did, and it would clean the World War II slate, which God knows we cannot have.
We're even now.
You know what I mean? Like, why are you going to your second biggest donor? How come we're entangled in this and this isn't Germany's problem? And Germany's closer.
Yeah, it is. Look, man, anytime I now hear, again, someone who loves World War II history and all that stuff, America, baby, back-to-back World War champs, anytime I now hear that brought up, my fucking radar is up immediately. Like, I know what's going on now. I understand.
Propaganda.
I understand. Like, again, they're trotting out the old story that makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. Mm-hmm. Remember the lesson you learned about how the only thing that couldn't be done is to go and fight a war? Well, that applies here all the time. Every situation in life is exactly the same. And you need to approach every single situation in life in exactly the same fashion. That's the lesson you're allowed to learn. That's how you have to behave. You'd never deviate from that strategy ever. Everything that happens to you in life is exactly the same thing all the time. And you just respond in this one way every single time. That's what you're being told in a sense, where you're being like they're trying to like trigger you to think that or something like that. It says they're trying to propagandize you. All right, we got a couple more. They are all topical, I think. Did I do the tab? No, I did not do the tab. Hold on, let's do this. Sorry. Let's just do the window. No videos. So, okay. Anomaly tweeted this. He said Trump pretends like he's Ron Paul meets George Washington, then governs like Mark Levin meets Karl Marx. That's pretty fucking accurate, right? The neocon, then all the socialist style programs, spending more money, doing this, doing that. So that's pretty clever. All right, the last one is by who's become one of my favorite Twitter accounts, 9mm SFG. It says, breaking, Netanyahu has released proof that Thomas Crooks was an Iranian agent all along. Known in Iran as the Hawkeye of Tehran. Crooks was known for having at least 30 notches carved into his rifle. It was one of the videos I kind of wanted to show, but we didn't have time. Netanyahu literally said that the 2 assassination attempts on Trump were from
Iran.
Yeah, and then
that's what sparked that whole mind-numbing debate between Tucker and Cruz that just drove me up a wall. That Iran's not smart enough to get a hitman, but they're smart enough to be a nuclear nation.
The defense of Netanyahu is that he misspoke, but he also said that he conflated both things. I don't know. So he kind of said he misspoke, but then he also said conflated and misspoke are 2 different things. Like you can conflate things on purpose to trick people, right? But then you could just misspeak and say the wrong thing. Netanyahu clearly said the two assassination attempts on Trump were Iran.
Well, Daddy misspoke. We can't, Daddy can't look bad.
Yeah. And, that whole conversation as well that, they have assassination teams going after Trump. I've seen literally 0 evidence provided at all on that. Look, man, at least when Bush and the boys decided to go to war with Saddam in Iraq, they fucking marched Colin Powell's ass up to the UN and they gave him that vial of fake shit. And they fucking made him show everybody. You see, we got fucking evidence here. This is the weapons of mass destruction material that we yanked out of Iraq. And this is it. They completely made it up. It was fucking obviously there was no weapons of mass destruction. Right. They just fucking gave him a vial. At least they fucking gave us the courtesy put a show on to lie to us, right? To get us into the thing. This guy's just fucking say they tried to kill Trump twice. With 0 evidence.
Back then, at least when they peed on you and called it rain, they hid the guy that was peeing on you.
Listen,
now anymore, the dude peeing on you is like, it's rain. Trust me, it's
open
rain.
your mouth, too, while you're at it. Yeah. Yep. That's it. Anything else?
All right. No, that's all. It's been, Godspeed, everybody. Let's hope the lights stay on. Be prepared.
To Montauk. Yeah.
Yeah. I already told Scagz if the lights go out, you could rest assured I will be at your front door.
We'll do our best. Yeah. Oh, somebody commented before, LOL, it's 3.8 billion. He's lying already. Yeah. I mean, even himself. Yep. Amount of money being given to Israel. So.
Yeah. So, all right, Doom Nation. This has been another installment of the 2 Doom Men podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Our next episode will be in Montauk. That's the next numbered episode. Is that what you're saying?
Should be, unless some crazy shit happens between now and then, and like us, perhaps us actually going to war. Full tilt might deserve another episode between now and then. Again, we're going to be in Montauk next weekend. It's not going to be live. That will be pre-recorded, which means that by the time I have time to put it all together and put it out, probably won't be till the week after. So there might be no episode at all next week.
Right.
We'll be working on an episode, but there might be no episode at all. And then the week after that, there might be 2 episodes. There might be Montauk right away on probably Monday. And then the captain and I will probably come back later in the week for just straight politics. Again, unless some crazy shit happens.
God knows while we're away. I literally can't wait to be at the end of the world with potential World War III nukes dropping on us. Yeah.
Hopefully you don't hear from us next week. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly. All right, guys. Thank you guys for listening. Like, share, and subscribe. Adios.